Welcome to Consciously Connected. And I'm your host, Coach Tim.
And I'm Coach Sheba.
Yeah, glad you guys can join us this Sunday evening. Just wanted to come and bring some info as we normally do. And today's topic is spirituality versus religion.
Mhm.
Um, and it's kind of a topic that, we find it's important because, generally this has been debated like for thousands of years. What's supposed to be the actual, what's supposed to be as far as humanity's soul, what's supposed to happen to the souls of the people.
Mhm.
And so, that's religion and spirituality have been kind of used. You can say some people kind of use them interchangeably, as if they're speaking of the same things. But that's why we feel this is important because even though a lot of times, because we're talking about souls and spirits here, and these things get mentioned within both contexts, it tend to be a lot of confusion as far as um, basically, are they the same? Do they, are they different? So that's kind of what we kind of taking a look at this evening, to kind of look at some of the differences that make them different because as far as I'm concerned, they're different.
Right.
Like I said, people use them because again, as we get further into the information, so what happened to your soul and your spirit is basically things that are used within both contexts, but there are two different paths that that cause the debate. So kind of.
Yeah, we just gonna get right on into it.
Yeah.
Why is the debate between religion and spirituality so important?
I mean, again, because it's been thousands of years, of basically this debate is what happens with your soul. And so with that you as we get into it, it's some things can be used, you know, that don't necessarily line up with what your spirit is. If it's kind of we kind of look at as far as some things you may want to look at in some practices.
Mhm.
And so, again, it's so much confusion that you're trying to clear up a little bit about the paths.
Right,
Um,
because it's two separate.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
you got religion and you have spirituality.
yeah.
That's two different things here.
Mhm.
By definition, how are they different?
Well, well, just like what I chose to do here is rather than seem like I'm making this up, I want to go kind of just go look up with general terms here that you would generally find, that make these difference. So by definition, if you were to go look up, religion, you would basically be, religion is a personal set of institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices that service and worship of God or the supernatural, usually shared by a community or group. With spirituality, it's more of a individual practice and it has to do more with a sense of peace and purpose. It also relates to the process of developing beliefs around the meaning of life and connection with others. So those two different, we're looking at a institutionalized system of beliefs and practices, in worship of a God,
Mhm.
as opposed to again, the kind of
Or
some.
gods, plural.
Yeah, I was gonna leave that alone. But but this is more of a you don't need the group, the community to to basically practice
Mhm.
spirituality.
Right.
This is an individual practice that that doesn't require someone else to do with you.
Right.
It's and basically, I mean, who doesn't want to find a sense of peace and purpose?
Mhm.
I'm just using the words, and
Mhm.
you can find several definitions of spirituality, but at the end of the day, they're usually going to come back to your individual path, you, and the peace within you.
Mhm.
And it can be explained different ways. In the connection of life, in connection with others,
Mhm.
connection with others. So we don't need to. It's not necessarily a community of others, but you first dealing with yourself so that you can actually start dealing with others.
And yeah, it's not a fake connection.
Well, again,
it's a love connection.
Well, you're going a little too fast.
Yes,
so yeah,
okay.
yeah, but generally, as we see, we're going to kind of break that down. That it's starting with an individual practice that leads to connection with others.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's think about how the community would be if people were looking at connecting with others as opposed to just kind of having some beliefs and some attitudes about things and institutionalized.
Mm-hmm.
The word just kind of, I've never been in prison, but around the community, institutionalized mindset generally doesn't usually work too well for people that I've seen kind of going in and out of certain. I was about to say system.
Systems.
Institutionalized system of attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, but we want to kind of summarize that difference, a very big difference. You kind of want to look at that as opposed to what would we think would be kind of, more bringing more peace, because again, it's looking for peace.
Yeah, peace within.
Yeah,
and peace with others.
Well, again, you're looking for that peace within, so then you can build connection with others.
Right.
I mean, let's come back. I'm gonna say it one more time. Spirituality is an individual practice that has to do with having a sense of peace and purpose, and also related to the process of developing beliefs around the meaning of life and connection with others. So you're developing this on your own, and then you're learning how to connect with other people with that peace that you have developed to spread more peace. So we're going to move on to the next one, because I think that, kind of sums that one up.
Yeah. How are they different in origin?
Okay. Again, want to look these things up, because I could go off the top of my head, but I don't want to seem like I'm with Tim just like making this stuff up. So I want to get something that a person, because a lot of this stuff I just Googled. Because a lot of this, there's like people don't basically. I've done more research to know that the definitions pretty much are correct. But what we try to do is, most people don't understand that information is right up under their noses, and all you need to do is just kind of search it out. But since most aren't searching it out, we enjoy bringing it to you. So the origin, actually, we look at religion again. Religions are based on lives, teachings, and beliefs of historical figures such as Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Krishna, and Muhammad. Details of their lives as holy or highly evolved beings have been carried across time through oral traditions and written scriptures. These figures are the subject of worship and devotion and the foundation of religious practices and rituals in the community. Okay. Now, spirituality opposes that approach and is based upon practical application of the founder's teachings. Meaning, do not seek the followings of the footsteps that of the wise. Seek what they sought. Now, I may get a little, I don't think it's debatable, but because if people look in the Bible, all the teachers said, look within them. Jesus, to the Christians, told them that you are God, and when you know thyself, you will find the kingdom of heaven within you. So what he was telling you was to travel the path I'll find, and you'll find what I have found. Okay, but as opposed, we got to come back to, Christianity is based on, we got to come back. Well, not Christianity, just we talking religion in general, not just Christianity. But basically, the stories are around these people's lives, but it's carried across oral tradition and written scriptures. Now, let's first understand this: oral tradition. If I told one person, if it was 10 people in the line, I told one person at the beginning of the line one thing, when we get to the end of the line, do we think the same story will be the same story when we got to that?
Not at all.
So we're going with oral tradition, and then with the written scriptures. Let's remember these things were, first off, when we talk about oral, it was all oral, because the thing that people don't understand is that when we're talking about, say, for instance, the apostles that were supposed to tell the stories, John, Luke, Paul, and so when were they had when stories were written many years later, 40 years and more, hundreds of years later for text. So
Hundreds.
right. And so if you have a person that told you, first of all, the people within the book couldn't have wrote it themselves because they were illiterate. These people couldn't read and write.
Right.
John, Luke, Paul, none of these people
Right.
could actually read or write. I don't care what language we talk about, Arabic, whatever. They could not read or write. So the scriptures is everything is oral. It's written as many, over time periods, several centuries basically. So again, what did I say about that? 10 people. All we need is 10 people, and we would never get the story correct. But people, generally, what it's based on is these traditions of doing these things. And basically, it's the subject of devotion towards the people themselves. But the words of the teachers are always said, seek the path that I saw, not worship me.
Right.
I mean, if you look deeper into any of these scriptures or whatever, that pretty much they're written by man, you won't find any of these teachers saying, worship me. They're saying, seek what I saw, seek the wisdom that I found. Seek was the same thing I did, you can do too.
Yeah, that's what Yeshua said.
That's what Buddha said. That's what every teacher said. They didn't include Plato is not, a religious person, but he's known as, a great philosopher who was telling truths about how things worked in the world as far as the universe is concerned. And generally, each teacher, people are worshiping the teacher instead of following the teachings. So, again, if you worshiping what they were instead of trying to be, basically they're saying be the best you because it's within you, not be them.
Right. It's in you.
It's within you. And everyone has a spirit and soul within them. So if you're worshiping their soul and spirit, then how is yours evolving? Right. You can't ascend to the Christ consciousness, that's above, which that may sound a little strange to people who, I'm definitely not going to go down this path of feeling like I'm trying to alienate anyone by saying, that the things that they worship outside of them. But when you start looking at the teachings that the teacher saw, then you'll look and find that they were telling you there was not outside of you, it was inside of you. And seek the wisdom that they found, and you will find it, as you said, it's in your Bible. Or you seek the kingdom of heaven. When you know thyself, you will find the kingdom of heaven within you.
That's right.
It doesn't get much,
And everybody holds the kingdom of heaven inside of them and everything.
But see, this is how religion and spirituality start getting confused, because they've taken spiritual teachings and put them inside of a system. And so now you start having things that, if you paid attention to certain things, yes, it's dealing with the evolution of your spirit and ascension of your Christ consciousness, but it's confined within a system, as we see, because we're looking at it basically worshiping the person instead of following the teachings of the person.
Right. Because he knew it. It was inside of him, and he knew that it was inside of everything and everybody.
Well, again, he said that, you are all gods, but that kind of started a situation that they call him, that turned into basically saying he died for your sins, when he actually died. And I challenge anyone to go look at that scripture. What is it, John? I can't even remember, but it's definitely, there within the text that he's, well, matter of fact, it's all over several texts.
Oh yeah.
Acts, all over several texts that he's saying that you're not telling the God within you. But people said it was blasphemous. And then somehow the story gets spinned around until he died for your sins. Well, have you ever asked yourself what sins he died for? And then if he died for your sins, why are you still afraid? Because that system is still telling you that, you still must confine to the beliefs, in spite of what the teacher is telling you to go within you, and then you're confined to nothing.
Right. And
But
what you think is a sin is not technically the sin that Yeshua was speaking about.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I have to touch on that word
Mhm.
worship because, again, people they say they go to worship, but then they get into this deal where the word ideology kind of falls into play. And,
Mhm.
going within that God, within, definitely within a Christian text that wants to be worshiped, when clearly, what is it, Isaiah 44, 9 and 20, you know, basically, states that you should not be doing these things. Basically, the definition about it is extreme worship of idols.
Mhm.
So that means nobody, not even including the so-called God,
Mhm.
because the Creator does not need to be worshipped.
Right.
Only man does
Right.
within a system.
Mhm.
So it's kind
Mhm.
of it could go a little deeper than that, but at the end of the day, kind of open your minds and kind of like
Mhm.
really kind of look at it, and understand freedom and captivity. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Which is objective and which is subjective.
Well, first you got to understand, what objective and subjective is. Like objective is basically you looking at things outside of yourself, which is kind of what I spoke on. And
Mhm.
subjective is you are the subject.
Mhm.
And so, with that being said, religion most often is objective experience,
Mhm.
meaning focused on external, like the house of worship, you
Yeah.
know, like church,
Mhm.
um, books of scripture, external rituals like
Serving,
baptisms and
serving other things, other people.
yes, definitely,
Yeah.
serving everything outside of
You.
finding you,
Mhm.
observances, everything to keep you, kind of worshiping.
Mhm.
Back to that word in worship and looking outside of things that the truth within yourself.
Mhm.
Because I mean, we could get a little deeper into some more scriptures if we want to about that house of worship and scriptures that state that God doesn't reside in temples built by man.
Right.
But again, when we just said the system built by man, then where you think we're going to send you to?
Mhm.
So with that being said, as dealing clearly spirituality, you're looking towards the internalization of the awareness of your soul,
Mhm.
the object. Spirituality is the inward journey that involves a shift in awareness
Mhm.
rather than some set of external activity. Spirituality is about inner understanding, more about inner understanding than outer worship.
Yeah.
If you can't understand you, who can you understand?
Yeah, and you eventually at some point in time have to go within yourself to figure you out.
And the thing is, people, is that these are basic things that in your life, if you looked at it, like if you keep blaming everything outside of you, keep looking, feel like you're controlled by everything outside of you, and you never look at you,
Mhm.
how could you ever grow as a person?
Mhm.
How does a person ever look at themselves ever? They're always looking at outside, looking for outside validation from other people
Mhm.
about themselves, because this kind of comes to that too. You need to be validated, by the pastor, by things outside,
Yeah.
those people in the community or whatever that validate that you doing what they said do. You're
Right.
doing what they think you're supposed to do.
Right.
And so when do you become an I?
Mhm.
Because we going a little deeper in here because you kind of got to get a little more knowing, because there's a such thing as an I and a such thing as a me.
Mhm.
And the society right now has been programmed to be me's.
Mhm.
And this is by systems like this, because you cannot become an I if you don't know who I am.
Right. You can't say I am amazing if you don't know for
Oh, don't believe
yourself,
it. You
or
ain't even thought
or
about it.
don't believe
How
it.
can you believe it, because you don't even think about it?
That's right.
So that's why when someone's saying the spirit of God is within you, it's no, it's just that because you can't conceive
You
it.
can't conceive it. And Yeshua knew who he
He was
was.
a spiritual
He
man.
said, I am that
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. But see, he was a spiritual person, and his name has been used now to basically, because he was not a Christian.
Right.
Challenge you to find anywhere. The man was not a Christian.
Mm-mm.
He's just man his again back used to worship within a system.
Right.
You will not find.
He has been used.
Yes.
He
Yes.
has been used.
Yes. I mean, to the point of, name changed and all kinds of things, you know, to kind of fit within a situation. And like I said, I don't want to, because this is I want to take a look at this in an objective way, because you know you don't want to basically seem too biased about things, but at the same time, you know, you'd have to look at, if you look at it objectively, then you will see the truth. I mean, it's not that I'm trying to, because let's get it true. I mean, we both come from religious places. My family is deeply religious.
Right.
I had to, you know, get some understanding about some things, you know, because I wasn't raised to know the truth, because no one pretty much where we come from was raised to know much about the truth.
That's right. Not the real truth.
Not the real truth. It was all lies.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this, because we're trying to wake up people to the truth that we, had to discover. And, you know, I was willing to do a lot of research and accept what the truth was about things, you know, and do a lot of education and things like that to kind of understand how healing works and things of that nature, to understand it wasn't one person walking on earth that could do it, and he told you that everyone could do it, which is true. It's a science.
Yeah.
But again, if a person is confined to a mindset and beliefs that they can't possibly be them, then that's why it's so hard to, you know, to understand that. It's like, who, you know, what do you mean? You know, well, and I understand, because again, we come from these places where, like, you know, no one could, you know, the vibration of a person that basically you're in lack and you're looking for help.
Survival.
Yeah, survival. So if you were thinking as a guy, you know, your individual practice, and you knew what it was in you, you know, these things, your mindset will be looking at it totally different, because you won't be thinking from lack, be thinking from abundance, because you know what's within. But if you have not been, you have come from, your people come from that, you come, I mean, this is in your bloodline, you just know, and that's most of us, because you know, that's pretty much this country. You know, it was programmed to make us programmed as Black people within this country to feel less than. But I don't want to get too far about the energy centers and things that were thrown off. We want to educate people about that.
That is the root cause of all of this.
It is.
And Yeshua knew that. And that is what he tried to teach his disciples about their negative emotional energy. He himself even had negative emotional energy that he had to work out.
That's why he understood. All healers have to heal themselves before they can heal others. It starts with, everything starts within you.
Yeah.
You know, when I got into this, the healing, then I started seeing the stuff that I had programmed within myself, or things that were passed down in my family that I needed to heal. You know, the triggers and things that, you know, that you don't even understand why it's there, or why, you know, and if it's out, I mean, a lot of times you think you're supposed to pop off about a lot of things. That's the illness in itself, because, you know, lack of control of your own emotional energy, and you're letting everything control your energy. You know,
and we know that was the sin.
Well, the ego
is the sin.
It really, you know, everyone's born with an ego. You don't, until you get to know your higher self, then you are born again.
Exactly.
But everyone, you don't go to the church and magically throw some water on you, and all of a sudden become a new person. Check it out. You think about it, y'all know it's true.
Right. It is true.
You know, it's true.
I've sat through many of baptisms.
But how did that change? did that stop that person from being that same person?
They still have the same ego.
Exactly.
Until you lose your ego, until we, like you said, we all were born with the ego. But until you are able to realize that you're acting out of your ego and not necessarily out of the divine light love that you have in you, nothing will change. That is your sin.
Yes, it's not that you just, you know, you're kind of born with a sin, but it's not in the way that you think.
Right.
You know, it's generally just understanding that you have some materialistic things within you, things that you don't, you know, that basically you compete with, you know, or whatever it is of basically the physical world that confines you to basically not be able to understand your higher self, because you're too busy operating on a lower vibrational mindset of the third dimension, that basically, you know, you compete with people, you basically operate out of lack, you know, as opposed to ascending to a higher self mindset of leaving these material things behind. Not saying that you don't have anything, but the thing is, they just come to you. You're not selling on these.
Right.
You're not walking in greed and basically fixated on doing these things and trying to hurt other people. And when you start walking in love, the love frequency comes, and these things just happen.
They just happen.
You know, and so then it's like, you know, you operate out what's called abundance. That's the difference between operating out abundance and operating out of greed. You know, abundance is things that coming to you because you're walking in that light, and you have the frequency that's drawing these things in your life, and you're able to manifest these things into your life. That's when you not going to the paying a tithe and asking someone to bless you, because you understand you have this power within you, because you have the spirit of God within you. But I need to say creator, because God kind of minimizes this thing.
God is who they're talking about in the Bible.
Right, and that's caused a lot of confusion.
Gods.
Because, right, you know, but if we're going to say a God, we're going to say, you know, high case G, not these lowercase G's. That's within the Bible, because the creator is everything, the essence of all.
The essence of all.
And it's definitely not jealous.
Right.
Why would it be jealous of its own? And I say it's because it's not a gender, it's a frequency. But religion puts, you know, these names, these genders, you know, Allah and, you know, Jesus, you know, kind of throw these names in
a box.
And
everything has been placed in a box, including every religion there is, because there are many religions out there.
I mean, even Hinduism is close enough, because they try to follow the teachings of Buddha. But if someone is still worshiping Buddha didn't ask to be worshipped. Buddha would say, follow my teachings, not follow, you know, basically following me. And so anytime we start talking about worship, you know, the worship part, it should not apply to anything. That's the deal. That extreme love of things outside of yourself. The love starts with you.
Right. Yep.
And so, you know, that's pretty much kind of summing that part up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's how you change you.
Yeah.
Which is organized and which is formless?
Yeah. Well, you know, we all kind of know again. You know, religion is organized, and you know, basically a structure that, you know, frequently rule-based construct that basically the same degree govern the behavior of the members. Moral rules, laws, and doctrines, as well as specific codes and criteria, create the organized structure that contain the religion and a specific belief system. So rules, structure, you know, basically govern the behavior of the members.
Why would you need that? You are an individual person full of the divine light inside of you. Why would you need someone else to govern you?
It's called control.
Yeah. Manipulation.
Yeah. We need you. Don't, you know, not really about belief is still doing what I say. But if we start talking about doing what, you know, you telling people what to do, you saying do what I say. And so then we start going with, so is it God's will or man's will? Because God's within you, we know that. And basically it admits right here that the religion being organized, that it's a structure, not God,
right?
But the structure itself that governs the behavior of the members. So that means you got a man somewhere telling you, no, we don't need to do that. Don't do that. But then he tells you, God said it. But, you know, and he's right. He's actually a God.
Right.
But so are you. So why does he get to tell you?
So are you.
What makes his God bigger than your God?
That's right.
You both are gods. Lowercase g's, but gods. We all are.
Yep.
So then we look at spirituality, which breaks free of restrictions and rigid structure. The spiritual recognize that he or she is on a pathless journey of self-discovery. They are following no external set of rules, but their own inner spirit.
That's right. Your spirit is all that you need. Your spirit is what is alive in you.
Well, let's remember what we were talking about. What the purpose was anyway. Your spirit. What happens with your spirit? So we're following a man on one end, but then on the other part, we are following basically no rules and just our own spirit. Which one puts us closest to our spirit again?
Right.
Because that was the whole goal, wasn't it? It wasn't to confine the spirit. It was
Yeah,
for the
spirit to be free. You're free. You, your spirit. That minister, that pastor, that bishop, that whoever, they got their own spirit.
it's individual. It's an individual deal. That's the thing is everyone has their own spirit and everyone has their own path.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're sitting in church worshiping your pastor and basically sending your spirit, your his spirit energy,
Mm-hmm.
how much energy is your spirit getting?
That's right.
I mean, and you are no not on a path of self-discovery because you're not going within to find anything about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come back to that external deal where everything is being put out for you to worship outside of you to make sure that that never happens.
Yeah. I mean, the whole church building experience is based off of feeding off of everybody else's energy.
Yeah, it's
I
this,
mean,
and basically if we we go a little fast, further down the road, but is not only to have your energy, but to have your energy in a certain place.
mm-hmm.
That way, that because if you were actually looking at things in a reasonable way, then you could accept a lot of things. But if you're looking at things out of fear
Right.
and out of a low vibrational mindset, and you're looking for relief and you're looking for help
Mm-hmm.
instead of walking in something that you know that you're stable and you're safe and you can look at things with reason and clarity. Because if anyone has, I know within my community they don't know a lot about this, but I dealt with a lot of contracts when I was in real estate, and one of the things that one of the laws you would be breaking a person if they were to sign a contract and basically come to find out that the contract was signed under duress, meaning that the person was in fear, they were in some type of stress that forced them to make this decision when they normally would not have made this decision if they were clearly thinking. But people are making these decisions, especially within my community, because of things that's going on within them. They operate in making decisions and out of duress.
Right. Because people are always in survival mode.
Yeah.
And when you're in that survival low energy mode, you are not thinking for yourself.
Right. And that's why you have people, right now when I'm telling the truth and whatever, it's like, well, if there's no God outside of me, who's going to do all the good things? And they're looking for something outside of them to do these good things that they can do for themselves, but they can't see them. They can't see that they can do it because they feel powerless to do anything.
Yeah.
And so they're looking for anything that's been told to do it, even though it's clearly showing that, a lot is, you look at your situation and basically if you're sick, you got sick, then you turn around and ask God, please take it away. Well, if you believe your God, it's God's will to happen, then it was his will for you to be sick then, right? Then now you're asking him to take it away.
Yeah.
This is like not clearly thinking. Now if you knew that it was inside of you, you had all the tools inside of you. If you first off, you probably wouldn't have been sick anyway, because a lot of sicknesses come on from what's going on, the stress in the mind. But then if let's just say you could go within yourself and understand how to heal yourself, and then understand that everything lies within you.
That's right.
And how many times we've seen people go in the prayer line and they didn't make it. Most, or nothing changed because that energy that does not lie in that house.
Right.
And it's hard to get people to understand that you can't get in channel with the consciousness energy when you're on a low vibrational state. You can't. It doesn't match. You think out of fear instead of thinking out of basically raising your consciousness up to enlightenment.
Yeah, in order to create abundance for you in every area of your life, or whatever you're trying to create, whatever you're trying to get out of. You can't get out of it in a low vibrational state of energy.
A person trying to get them, visualization has a lot to do with things and whatever. But a person that's in a fearful, guilty state of mind or whatever, low vibrational, some people in apathy, I just don't even care. That person can't tune in to understand what they can actually, accomplish when their mind was in a high vibrational state, able to manifest the things that they want.
That's right. And we just got to be honest with this, guys. We just have to be honest about us. we gotta look at us and be honest about us. I mean, there's some things in all of us that we all need to work on.
Yep, indeed. Like I
Like
spoke on
we all
myself.
need to look at,
Hmm.
and just know that the spirit of the divine love and light is in us.
Hmm.
And it allows us to do and to change whatever we need to change for ourselves,
Yes.
us.
You have the ability to do it all. Really, you really do. It's just that's why Company kept talking about in certain scriptures. It was talking about certain people that Jesus was supposed to not be able to heal.
Right.
And it wasn't that he couldn't heal them, it's that the people didn't believe in themselves because he was teaching
Hmm.
them how to heal themselves.
Hmm.
See, if it was just him doing it, he could have just said, boom, just do this. But the thing is, he was trying to show the people that if you don't believe, but to believe, it wasn't about believing in him.
Right.
It was about them believing themselves that they could do what
Hmm.
the healing that he was instructing them on how to do.
Right.
And so this is back with these people having you can't see this when you're on a lower vibrational energy state because you're thinking in a fearful type of way
And a lack,
that right lack
survival, all
all
of
of
that.
that. Well, generally it's coming from survival because lack of root.
Right.
Feeling safe and secure. But it manifests itself into the person's like lack of the ability to conceive certain things about yourself because you're not grounded and centered in yourself.
Hmm.
And this is definitely something within our community because who felt safe, over 400 years of stuff in this country that our people have dealt with.
Right.
Let's be honest with it. Not very many people. It was about people trying to get by.
Hmm.
And right now, when I clean my things up and I see people in the morning, I'm like, people ask me how I'm doing great, and it messes them up because most of the people I've seen in the past, like, I'm just trying to make it.
Right.
And you see that, energy is motion. You see the energy, in the motion of the energy, their shoulders go, I'm just trying to get
That's
by.
right. Or I'm holding on.
Holding on.
Or I'm just making
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Those words.
So, yeah.
We gotta think.
Well,
we gotta really think about.
Well, the thing is, we can't really. It's really just telling.
Yeah.
It's like no one don't judge yourself. It's basically
Yeah.
saying that this is what you're not unconsciously admitting where you're at. Is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Right.
You're in a low vibrational. Just trying to make it is down here in desire and fear, and it's not high vibrational. And that's the average person that you see.
Right.
And their whole body will, because energy is motion. Trust me, I can read energy. A person can, they can depress themselves when their energy goes down, and you can have a person out. Let's go out and get something to eat. Let's. You see them perk up. What we gonna do this? You see literally see to show that everything perk up. Everything goes up. That's when that temporary, what we call the habitual vibration lifts up. Now then after you get this, what you get, whatever it was that got you there, and then you're done. You sit back, and then you go back to sit with yourself, and then you go back down there, and you sit, and you're looking for something to get you up. You're looking at the TV. You're strolling. Right. You're walking back and forth because nothing is feeling what's going on. That trauma going on within you, and you're hoping the relationship will do it, and you're hoping everything will do it, and then you come to church and you're hoping the church will do it. Pray for me, prayer warrior. I'm in a bad state right now but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to go inside the spirit of you.
That's right.
And the thing is that's what people. I'm a spiritual awakening coach, and that at some point I need to explain the difference between a spiritual awakening coach and your pastors, because as we see spiritually here, it's about setting you free. It's about you not confining you to a system. It's about you living the best life, the highest life you can live,
and free mentally.
Well, you're not free if you're not free.
That's right.
Because right now people are walking around physically free, right. But the minds are totally.
And so what's going on up here is showing on the outside.
Let's go back to the word we would use about the definition: institutionalized.
Right.
So everyone knows someone that had relatives who went to prison and who could not stay out of prison because they had an institutionalized mindset. They felt more safe in prison because their mind was conditioned for prison.
Right.
And so any system that you confine to and your mind is conditioned to, then you're pretty much, you're not free.
Right.
It's institutionalized with a set of laws. Let's come back again, that govern degrees of government that govern your behavior of the members.
Yeah, conditioned program.
Yeah. Well, when you govern your people behaviors, you're telling them how to act, and then you're programming them. Then.
Exactly.
And then you pass that on. It's been passed on for, with our people for so long. Out of slavery itself, with people who couldn't even read. So you're passing on stuff that have from people that couldn't even comprehend the words. Right. And now that's their tradition, because that's understand, like, there's different things within Christianity is what we can speak. Like, you have various sects where, like, and I'm kind of getting a little ahead of things, where, like, certain people in certain places in Christianity may practice things a little more spiritually, but as opposed to where you have in the South, where you have Black people who probably are following what's called the evangelist Protestant religion, but they're not even following that, because a lot of things have been put in for slavery, for instructions of that confine your mind on where you're supposed to be, and where you basically keep yourself in a certain place,
That's right.
obeying the masters and this, that, and, third, whatever. And then you have people within ourselves who will call themselves translating things that they couldn't understand.
Right.
And then you're following them. Could not comprehend the words at all.
That's right.
But then this tradition of continuing to follow things that, if you look right now and say, this is not what that said, I'm doing it right now, that's not what that said. But they're so called a tradition and the institutionalized mindset. I can ask a lot of Black people, as far as Christianity right now, where did your people get Christianity from? And they just look at you blank stare, and they know, even though in the back of their mind they know, but distant resonance won't allow them to come and basically confront themselves with the fact that this was pushed on us, because they have become institutionalized.
Right.
That they have, like, Stockholm syndrome, like, you become sympathize with your captors. And so, it can get deep as far as that goes, but and so you can't really get Christianity. It has layers to it.
Yeah.
So there's Muslim, but and I find that to be closer to the truth, than Christianity, because at least there's people following some disciplines within it. But when you just confine to structures to just kind of keep people in place, as far as as a power struggle, it takes on another layer. So basically the organized deal can it depends on how it's organized, because again, you're not Presbyterian, and and things like that, where these like more organized, they see things a little bit differently. They do things differently. So yeah.
Oh, which is based in tradition, and which is evolutionary.
I mean, and it's important because we already know that I just said it's based on tradition, and so, but again, tradition, rituals, creeds, and doctrines. Spirituality not focused on any rigid tradition approach and favors an evolutionary mentality. Spirituality embraces change and evolution of your consciousness.
Your journey, your spiritual journey.
And the thing about that is that it's basically, it's not saying one size fits all. It's like your journey, and no one's telling you how you should take your journey, because no one came.
Right.
Everyone came here as a spirit individually. How all of a sudden you get here now and you need someone to guide your spirit when you came here, through the birth canal, and evolve here as a spirit, and you're gonna leave
full of love, full of light.
Well, that's before. But once you get here, at least in the United States, you're basically, as soon as you come here, you're given an identity and given, told what you're supposed to be, and before you know it, that you've been programmed for them to tell you what you are before you ever, actually become your true self.
Right.
That's why come with spiritual awakening, you have to unlearn what you learned, and then relearn who you are.
Yeah.
Because you have to literally unpack all of the stuff that society has put in place, and that's why it's so hard for you guys to see it, because it's so much stuff. Your TV, your stuff that been put into your people that's programmed them, that programmed you. Your job,
your music.
I mean, school,
food.
I've tried to tell people school is nothing but a wheel. It basically sets you up, to become a wheel in somebody else's spoke. They don't give you stuff to give you a business plan, teach you how to file taxes and things like that. As a matter of fact, think about it this way. You can get a student loan at 18, but they won't give you a business loan. because they'll give you, and then let's understand, when you get that student loan, when you come out, you're in debt. Now, so they still can't get that business loan. You got to work for someone else.
Right.
So it's set up for you already to be told to do what to do.
Yeah.
And most people think that's what they're supposed to do. I'm a good foot soldier, but I'm complying with what everyone told me to do. That's institutionalized. You're just a good prisoner.
Right.
And, and just being a good prisoner don't make you a good person either. So, basically that kind of answered that question. I kind of already had answered that one. So,
yeah. Which is exclusive and which is inclusive.
Okay, back to the definition. Religion and traditional beliefs based on rigid interpretations of key teachings can create an exclusive worldview that isolates those who may not share their views and interpretations. And in-group mentality can be used to justify the exclusion of minorities or those deemed unworthy of God's favor. Meaning you don't believe how I believe and do what I say do. Or you don't look like I want you to look. It can be that way too, because
yeah,
it's basically, it has the book of slavery, so it could.
Or you're meditating and I'm praying.
Yeah.
What's meditation?
They have no idea. As spirituality favors inclusive approach, recognizes that pure spirit is a unifying force. No one is left out. You are all part of the universal hologram, all gods and goddesses in disguise. The spiritual perspective is no one has a monopoly on the truth. All are welcome in God's eyes. God created us, didn't he? All created us also. I want to come back and just understand this. How is it that we're going to be in a religion that says that, so God is supposed to create everyone, but how all of a sudden he doesn't favor the people he created?
That's good. There's no way that a certain amount of people can have favor with God, the creator.
He created everyone. Billy, we're going back to his bare essence. If he created everyone.
Everything.
But see, I'm just going to leave it at people because that's who they exclude.
Yeah.
He created everyone, but due to certain races, due to certain economic things, because I don't think, how many of you people actually know Episcopalians or anything, Presbyterians? That's what I'm saying. That's Episcopalian and Presbyterians. How many of you out there actually know one? None of you. Not just looking at this from a middle class or lower income spot, because these are the elites. These are the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, the people who have physics degrees and things like that. And guess what they know? The truth. Because they know spirituality is a science too. And they actually even have said that they use the Bible's word as a function, but tend to be open to new ideas and social changes. So which one does that sound closer to? That sound closer to religion or spirituality? But you don't seem to know none of these Christians, do you? Because these are the ones who be on TV telling you I'm a good Christian. They're your politicians. A lot of them Republicans too. And they'll tell you good Christian values and use this is a way to stop people from women from having abortion because these things. But remember, these are the same guys too who making money off of guns. They use, again, as a function.
Right.
This is a Christian country because it has rules and regulations and structure to keep people in a certain below vibrational mind state to where they stay in lack and need people like politicians and people like that, and instead of stay in lack of need. Because if you work in abundance, you wouldn't need them. You wouldn't need the doctors. You wouldn't need the pastors. You'd have it all. But as long as the society is in need, you keep people in power.
Right.
I'm probably saying enough right now. Everybody get their hands on this thing, probably, who put me on the list. But I don't really care because the truth has to be told.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I mean, it's deeper than what y'all think. Like when people, you got to just kind of just step back and look at it, and don't look at it from a standpoint that someone's just here. We're talking about the Christian. No, we're talking about life. We're talking about, this is bigger than it's really bigger than the debate between spirituality and religion, because you got to look at the state of the world right now. You
That's
ask
right.
yourself, like, all the stuff that's going on, does it look like peace is going on within the world?
Right. And the world is not gonna have peace if you don't have peace within you.
Where the people are not in peace.
Exactly.
And then they worship gods that,
Yeah.
that
Definitely don't have peace.
Well, let's go back to the inclusive. Like, exclusive can be like, let's look at the 25 million people that, when we did our podcast before, where if you don't believe as I believe, I killed 25 million people. Well, that fosters a thought process of, I've told people, well, God, your God killed 25 million people, and then all of a sudden they go into that sick mindset of, well, what did they do? As if it was justified for someone to be killed.
Right.
Is it justified for someone to come in and kill your family right now?
Right.
And just because they didn't follow what this God said do, even though within that book, the creator actually said, thou shalt not kill. But it's okay to kill if you don't do what we said do. Let's come back to that power and structure again, the institutionalized thinking.
Right.
You find it okay for a person to kill 25 million people because they don't believe as you believe. Let's keep it real.
Right.
That's a sick mindset. It's like basically saying it's okay. What's the difference between you and the person, the murderer down there, and if you okay with killing, or you at least down with it.
Right.
Why not be down with Charles Manson or whoever else that was and they definitely didn't kill 25 million people, but there's justification if you don't believe as I believe. Come on now.
And this is the state of the world.
That's the point. Is that this is people walking around, they think they can go and have these wars and kill people because you don't do what I say do. And the United States is terrible about that. They go in people's countries and try to put their system in place and then basically tell the world that they're evil if you don't allow us to do it. They've done it throughout time.
Yeah.
They come in and bring in Christianity to go along with it. And then when the people fight back or use things to try to defend their own way of living and thinking, they'll basically rewrite the words and basically try to say these people, whoever was evil. Africans were evil because they brought voodoo. Well, you came and put people in the bottom of a boat, brought them across the way. They weren't supposed to defend themselves. No one would bother you if you wouldn't have came and brought that stuff to them.
Exactly. And so therefore, we need to really look at the foundation of this whole world. Like the foundation of this world is why this world is what it is right now.
And basically when you look at the world, the people that are in peace is the ones that try to keep the United States out of it.
Right.
And keep their way of doing things out of their country.
Right.
So you can look at your news all you want to and believe that these people are, that when your news tell you these people are, somehow terrorists or whatever. Let's remember the first terrorist was the one that rode with Christians that burned crosses in our yards. And today they still won't call them terrorists. But they hung our ancestors.
That's right.
And raped, killed, terrorized us for 400 years.
And like you said, they were Christians.
And good Christians. They used to call themselves good Christian folk. And somehow that's why it's hard for me to believe right now that it ain't been so long ago that people that look like me can associate, they can put that jersey on. When basically that these same people, it's not judging, but it's what happened because the foundation of that religion was power and control.
Yeah.
And that's why they were using these things, because basically in that Bible, even trying to justify them doing the things that they did.
That's right. That's how they were able to do the things that they did.
Yes. You don't get black people that's enslaved all around the planet without, you have enslavement. Where basically the Bible basically says that, it's a God-given right to have slaves. It's there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
You go back and look at some podcasts that we've done before.
Yes, in previous podcasts.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, we don't want to get too bogged down, but it's there. And y'all have heard some of this stuff before, but you're trying not to, just like they've heard the killings, but you're trying to justify it because you have an institutionalized mindset instead of looking at it for the sick stuff that it is. So yeah,
Now we probably have already touched on this too, which is based on belief and which is spiritual.
Yeah,
we already.
But I got to kind of give the definition of it. Religion is at its core based on faith. It does not require a scientific evidence to validate their claim. Through religion, you are taught to have faith in God or the scriptures as infallible and the ultimate truth. Acceptance and surrender of the divine are taught and that lead to salvation.
Mhm.
So you don't need anything to prove. You just believe what I say.
That's right.
Spirituality that doesn't dismiss faith, but it
Yep.
leans towards direct experience of the soul and divinity. Spiritual practices like meditation, yoga, silence, and contemplation allows you to make conscious contact with more expanded states of consciousness, thus helping to exponentially validate the teachings rather than accepting them as faith alone.
Mhm.
So, in other words, you're validating what the teacher taught you and you're experiencing it yourself
Mhm.
instead of taking what somebody else told you to do
That's
or
right.
what they said it was going to be.
Mhm.
You're actually, as I said earlier, they were saying, follow the teachings of the teacher, not the teacher, not
Right.
worshiping the teacher.
Right.
You are following in the path of the teacher. You're doing what the teachers did, do, following the wisdom.
Mhm.
That way you can see achieve what they got.
Right.
So which one sounds like it makes more sense for your spirit?
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
it's pretty easy to say, you know, we're not
Yeah.
gonna spend a lot of time on that because,
Mm-mm.
you know,
Your spirit, your
yeah,
soul.
you are actually having an experience with yours, and I can testify to that.
We
You know,
are
those,
spiritual
yes,
beings.
well,
and-
as people who do these things,
Mhm.
it's true. That's why we can speak on these things because, you know, when you're in touch with things within inside yourself and you get messages, a lot of things just come to you.
Mhm.
Literally, I'm telling you, it's
Mhm.
beautiful. But anyway, you know, we kind of run out of time, so let's move on to the most
And we, yep,
the most important one,
which is based on fear and which is based on love.
where religion
Mm.
often contains a subtle undercurrent of fear woven into the teachings.
Mhm.
Concepts like original sin, divine judgment, God's wrath,
Mhm.
or external punishment can create a mental environment burden in worry and anxiety. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Over your worthlessness and whether your actions will result in divine retribution or karmic punishment.
Mhm.
Your faith in the afterlife can loom like a specter in the back of your mind, subtly influencing your thoughts and behaviors. Meaning this stuff influences your mind every day, whether you want to experience, you want to admit it or not.
That's right.
This stuff is causing problems and anxieties within your body.
Mhm.
And these things cause sicknesses. So you're dealing with some stuff. If y'all really want to be honest with it, you're seeing sicknesses within your church and things like that. Your church got a lot to do with this stuff.
I mean, and it's also passed down, generational stuff.
Epigenetics, which I
Yeah.
you know, I have to touch on another
So,
show. We have things epigenetically,
Your
like
ancestors went through stuff like this.
8
so-
generations of this. We can prep, but y'all want to move on because, like,
Yeah.
you know, I want to get this in. Spirituality discards fear and worry in favor of more loving, compassionate approach to life and death. Spirituality embraces a conscious based on worldview that supports all human beings on the path to awakening and unconditional love and kindness. Your choices and behavior are guided not by fear and punishment, but rather by the desire to end suffering and create a peaceful and loving world for all. That sums it up right there. Now, which people would you rather have trying to run this world, try to run it in this world right now, after everything we've talked about?
Right.
Now, I challenge you to, you know, definitely feel free to like put your comments out there because we like to have dialogue. I keep trying to get it with people because people don't want. That's how you educate yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of the, unfortunately, you know, I'm not around a lot of other religions, but I'm around a lot of Christians, and generally with that, you know, it's not a lot of people who want to have conversations.
Right.
So, but you don't, you know, you can't have dialogue about these things. You can't grow.
Right.
And so, with that being said, you know, you know, I really like people to like take a minute and, you know, not only listen to this and let it marinate for a bit, but do your own research because generally what I'm bringing is things that's trying to give you nuggets for you to go do your own research because just like your soul has to go on its own journey, so does your awakening, your own knowledge. But you first have to want to gather it.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah. So that, you know, that kind of sums that up right
sums
there.
it up.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
That we've expressed the differences between religion and spirituality.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, again, you have to open your minds and understand that, like, and give yourself grace.
Definitely.
Do not beat your, you know, feel like shaming because of this, because it's not.
Not.
Because this is stuff within our community,
Yeah.
especially Black people, but not just Black, it's all
Mhm.
people, especially within this community. But I kind of speak on our people because we've dealt with some other things
Mhm.
that kind of go a little deeper, I think, as far as the slavery deal is concerned. So bear with us on that, all other races, y'all, we do know
Mhm.
this,
Yep.
but it's about everyone.
Right.
It's really